You know, one of the reasons why you got so hurt in your past is because people loved you based on their conditions. I'm sure you've all heard the terms unconditional love and conditional love before. And conditional love plays a huge role in why we got so hurt in our past or where our trauma comes from. And it gives us a lot of explanations because, it's already in the word. It's love that's based on certain conditions. So somebody in your life just hands you their very specific conditions, and there's basically like this subconscious contract in the room that you either meet those conditions or you don't. Nobody technically forces you to do anything, but based on whether or not you fulfill those conditions or maybe you don't, that person is going to show you different kinds of behavior. Let's say there's this condition that you always need to be nice and sweet and kind to your environment. Let's say, for a little girl that's growing up. And if that little girl isn't super nice or super polite all the time, she's gonna receive less love because whoever put that condition in place in the first place isn't gonna be happy, the conditions aren't met. Do you see what I'm talking about here? The only reason why I'm even talking about it is because it's so important to understand conditioning. Because that unconditional love is gonna condition you by setting that condition over and over and over again. And, depending on, again, whether or not you fulfill that, you're gonna be treated differently, which is really sad and has absolutely nothing to do with unconditional love, the love from the universe. For example, in my case, my grandparents from my mother's side, like her parents, expected me to take like the classical route, the traditional route, go to university, get a degree, study your ass off, land a great job, make a lot of money, and just have this like normal, stable, safe life. And as soon as they started to realize that I'm not going down that route, I could definitely feel that something's like changed. As if they would like literally love me less, as if they were less accepting of me. And, in my case, it even got as far as my grandma writing me and my sister a letter and blaming us for my mother's alcoholism. Like, that's what I mean. This is so messed up. To love someone else based on conditions is, for a lot of people, that's like the most normal thing in modern society. But, that's not the first thing that's wrong with this society. There's so many things, and that's just one of them. And if you're watching this and you're wondering, like, why is it so wrong? It's because it conditions you to be someone that you're not. Just imagine growing up. I'm sure all of us went through this. You're a little kid, you want to play around, you kind of just like want to experience life, and here come your parents or your caretakers or your siblings or school, and they put all these conditions on you. And, maybe you're a person who actually met all those conditions naturally because that's what just felt natural to you, and that was just like in your flow. But I know so many times it's actually not what that person really wants to do. It's not really who they are. It's not really what they stand for. It's not really what they want to do with their lives. And how many people have chosen a path that isn't in alignment with their heart and soul because somebody expected that from them, because they had certain conditions. For example, expectations of that person, whether it was your friend or your partner or your family member or whoever it was. And it's so destructive because it starts at a really young age where, in my case, I feel like I was always taught to be this good girl. Otherwise, I wouldn't be loved. So guess what? I turned out to be a people pleaser, to always almost change myself around people because I'm scared that they won't accept me for who I really am. And I know there's so many of you out there that are struggling with the same. All these years later, we're sitting here and we're wondering oh, wow, I'm a people pleaser and I do it all the time. Why the heck did I even start doing that? And that cultural or societal conditioning is a huge part of that. And the thing is, if you repeat that over and over again, it's going to become a part of you. And then it's not going to be anyone on the outside anymore telling you that, if you do this or if you don't do that, you'll be less worthy or less loved. You're literally internalizing that program, and you're going to start telling yourself, if I do this or if I do that, I'll be less loved, I'll be less appreciated, I'll be less worthy. And if you're seeing this, I highly encourage you to, become aware of it and then uncondition yourself, reprogram yourself, because it's a pretty shitty program that your system is running. And I guess the most important thing about this is to even become aware of it. Become aware that a lot of people have loved you with a lot of conditions, and yeah, sure, maybe some of those conditions were okay and actually in alignment with you, but maybe a lot of them just weren't. And, now we're here and we're people pleasers. Now we're here having a really hard time setting boundaries because we're scared of not being loved anymore. Again, that's just one of the things that are really detrimental about society, and that I feel like we really need to change, or, I can only start here. I can only change myself, and I can only encourage you to do the same and to be brave enough to be yourself and to get to know who you are and what you really want in life. The journey may not be easy, but it's going to be so worth it. And, if you're asking me now, like, hey, Ray, what can I actually do about this? I hate to tell you, but there's not a lot of things that you can do. People are always just going to love you based on their own idea of love. And depending on where a person is at in their journey, it's going to be more conditional or it's going to be more unconditional. The only thing that you can change is yourself. The only person that can love you unconditionally is you. And if you start loving yourself more unconditionally, if you start to carry that vibration within, you're going to start meeting more and more people on that same level of unconditional love. Because if you love yourself with conditions, you can't really expect anyone else to love you without conditions. You know what I'm saying? So once again, all we can do is work with ourselves and start loving ourselves unconditionally and having faith and trust and courage in ourselves and in our paths. If you're also on a transformational journey, hit that subscribe button, because that's what my channel is all about. And if you've ever felt like there's so many things that are wrong with you, I'll link you a video right at the end, because again, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just running a shitty program. So make sure to check out that video. And if you're wondering what you can actually do on this, transformational journey, I'm going to link another video right here about how your feelings and your body is the key to everything. My name is Ray. I really hope this gives you some guidance. I really hope this helps you. If it does, please let me know down below. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.